Listen, I know how much Final Fantasy X means to people. It's considered the best Final Fantasy game and the greatest video game of all time. But for some reason, I can't seem to fully love Final Fantasy X, and it's a shame really. This game is highly praised within the Final Fantasy community, and I have a long history with this game. You'd think with someone who has over 100 plus hours in this game, they'd like it and love it. But for me, I just don't really like it much. I don't have that connection with Final Fantasy X, unlike the connection I have with games like Final Fantasy VII and 15. Yes, I like 15 and what? Fight me. But does that mean I hate the game? No, I don't. My journey with Final Fantasy X is weird but comforting to me. I bought the game back in 2021 and never finished it. I think it was the first Sin spawn, or Sin something, on the way to Luca that made me stop playing the game, but I'm not really sure. Maybe my brain was too fried or my attention span was too cooked back then. Probably since I was in grade 7. Fast forward to 2025, I decided to fully play it. Then I stopped again. Here and there, I'd played a little bit of it, but I never devoted my time to Final Fantasy X, unlike games like Final Fantasy VII, which was the last Final Fantasy game I had finished at the time. So what did I do? I restarted the game fully and gave it another shot, and I really do appreciate the journey that this game has given me. I was 13 back in 2021 without a care in the world. Now I'm 18, graduating high school. It's pretty heavy stuff. Even though I didn't enjoy this game as much as I did with 7 and 15, Final Fantasy is my favorite video game franchise of all time, and it's always been with me through those rough times in my life. And regardless of what I think about this game, Final Fantasy X is the game I take with me to graduation. I think the story is interesting, I like the combat, I love the world and vibes of Final Fantasy X, and the music is phenomenal, but I do have my criticisms. I'm gonna be honest in this video, not gonna sugarcoat anything. Everything I talk about in this video will come from an honest perspective as someone who didn't grow up with Final Fantasy X. Without further ado, sit back and
listen to my story. This may be our last chance.
The strongest suit in Final Fantasy X by far is the opening sequence of the game. I'm not sure if I've said this before, but I personally think that Final Fantasy has great openings. Openings, in my opinion, are important, especially games like Final Fantasy. They should entice you, intrigue you, and pull you in right away, and that's exactly what Final Fantasy X does. We begin our journey in Zanarkand, a different world unlike the rest of the Final Fantasy games. If you compare it to 9, you can definitely see the difference between both games. Final Fantasy 1 to 6 were pretty much all in medieval settings, 7 was a dystopian cyberpunk type of world, 8 is a near-future fantasy game, and 9 was a game that returned to its roots by going back to the medieval setting. Spirit is a world filled with tropical settings, water-themed areas, religious areas, and of course our main focus right now, Zanarkand, a technological city that never sleeps. Okay, I got sidetracked talking about the world, but I'll get into that later. We're introduced to Tidus, the main character, a blitzball star for the Zanarkand Abes, and he's a total celebrity, on his way to a blitzball game. And oh yeah, I should also mention, Tidus is an athlete. Unlike the Warrior of Light, Cloud, and Terra, Tidus is your ordinary teenager. He's just a normal guy, like you and me. And I actually like this approach to Tidus. He's not like the rest of the Final Fantasy characters where they're fighting for something in the beginning of the game. In fact, Tidus doesn't ask for any of this to happen. He's a regular guy like you and me who got into this mess. One of my favorite parts of the opening is hearing Jecht's speech, Tidus' father, and I'm not so sure why I like this speech. It makes me feel cozy, and I love the song that plays during his speech, and I guess I should let you guys hear it.
I was in a coffee shop running away from home when I heard the news. Our hero, Jecht, gone, vanished into thin air. My dad must have been his biggest fan. I knew how sad he'd be. Heck, we all were that day. Zanar, I says to myself, what are you thinking? I went running straight back home. We sat up talking about Jecht all night. My dad and I never talked so much. Whoa, didn't mean to reminisce, folks. Anyway, 10 years later, the Jecht Memorial Cup tournament is today. The two teams that have won through to the finals are, of course, the Abes from A East and the Duggles from C South. I know there's a lot of people out there today to see the star of the Abes. In just 1 year, he's become the team's #1 player. He's Jack's blood and the new hope of Blitzball. What kind of super play will he show us today? Will we see his father's legendary shot? I don't think I'm the only one excited here, folks.
I'm not really sure why I love this speech. When I first played this game, I don't even think I listened to Jack's full speech. It could be Tidus' theme in the background speaking to me, the calmness in Jack's voice, or the visual presentation of Zanarkand. After his speech, we make our way into the Blitzball game, and this whole cutscene, the visuals, the music is... You know what? I'm just gonna play it. What a badass song. I've just got to say that Otherworld is probably my favorite track in this game, and for my Spotify 2025 Wrapped, I'm pretty sure Otherworld was either my #1 song or my #2 most played song, but yeah, I fucking love Otherworld, man. So many things are set in stone for this game by this opening alone. After the mysterious monster destroys Zanarkand, we dive into a little bit of gameplay and we're introduced to a new character, Orin. We escape the stadium with Orin and learn the monster's name, Sin. Not much is said about Sin, but this giant monster is trying to kill the world. We get a little bit of combat, and then after we finally end off the opening with a farewell message. And I think this is the most important part of this game. Here's the clip.
This is it. This is your story. It all begins here.
What a opening, man. Such a strong way to start a game. This opening really felt like a punch in the face saying, hey, we're in a new era of gaming, in a new era of Final Fantasy. It got me pumped and excited for more of this game, and I'm sure a kid back in 2001 probably felt this way too. Sin destroys Zanarkand and transports Tidus into Spira, where he ends up in Baj Temple, eventually washing up on an island called Besaid, where we meet Wakka, captain of the Besaid Aurochs. Quick note, I know I'm missing a few stuff that happens in the first few hours of this game, but I'll get into that later, so just keep watching. Besaid is the first proper place we enter in Final Fantasy X. It's one of the many places we venture in this game. Now that we've moved on from the opening, let's talk about the world of Spira. Without a doubt, this game excels at the world. Spira is beautiful. There are so many places you visit while on Yuna's pilgrimage. The world of Final Fantasy X feels a lot different, and that's because the developers based Spira from many Southeast countries, cultures, traditions, and beliefs. Places like Hawaii and Okinawa were inspirations for the world of Spira, even extending further into other games like Kingdom Hearts 1. Previous Final Fantasy games were inspired by the medieval times in Europe, but Final Fantasy X is very Asian. Sounds a bit weird, but it is very Asian. In an interview with Yosuke Nora, the art director of Final Fantasy X, his answer to what inspired the Asianness of Final Fantasy X, he said, let's see. After the cyberpunk and near future setting of 7 and 8, we returned to our roots with 9, so the question became, what should we do next? And to be honest, that question vexed us. Around that time, I happened to be looking through some books and travel pamphlets and randomly thought to myself, you know, Asia is really nice too. There haven't been many fantasy games in that kind of setting. There had been games set in China or with a Chinese atmosphere, but nothing with Southeast Asian or similar setting. So I thought I'd try drawing some pictures to flesh out the vision I had. When lo and behold, I read Nojima's script and by chance it turned out to have the same feeling. Then it was like, okay, now we've got to do this. We all brainstormed ideas on our own, and when we met up and shared them, the ideas that happen to be similar to each other are always good ones. And you can definitely feel this. Comparing Besaid to Pacific Islands is mind-blowing, at the time I guess. It's like they ripped the islands and just inserted it into Final Fantasy X. Almost everywhere in this game, I get a cozy feeling in me. I'm not really sure why, but I guess that's a testimony on how Spira makes me feel and how this game makes me feel, how the world makes me feel. Traversing and learning about Spira makes me feel like I'm on vacation, and I guess that's what Tidus must feel since he's a newly appointed guardian and traveling around Spira. My personal favorite places in this game is Besaid and Luca. Besaid makes me feel nostalgic in a way. I guess it's because it's kind of similar to Destiny Islands in Kingdom Hearts 1. Because of that feeling, it's like I've lived in Besaid before, and I'm finally coming back after a long time away. Being able to swim in the water, seeing Waka and Tidus talk like best buds, even though they've only known each other for like 4 minutes, walking around and seeing locals practice blitzball makes me feel like I'm really in this world. Luca felt like an overseas high school trip. Hearing the water splashing, the boats horning just thrills me every single time. I love seeing the locals just outside and talking and just having a good time. The way Luca is built is very fascinating to me. Zanarkand Ruins makes me feel uneasy. It's like a place where I have to face my fears, face my destiny, and I love it. The art direction in Final Fantasy X is brilliant. The world is vibrant with a lot of blue colors, but what's interesting is the fact that this game blends pre-rendered backgrounds with 3D models so well. Previous Final Fantasy games never looked as good as Final Fantasy X at the time, and while most of the visuals are 3D, you can clearly make out what's 3D and what's pre-rendered. But what really brings these locations alive is the music. It's important to know that Final Fantasy X was the first Final Fantasy game series composer Nobou Uematsu brought help for composing the game's music. In the previous Final Fantasy games, Nobou Uematsu had composed all the music by himself, but for Final Fantasy X, he specifically asked for the help from these composers, Masashi Hamauzu and Junya Nakano, to work on the music for this game. Masashi Hamauzu might sound familiar to you. He's composed the music for the Final Fantasy XIII trilogy, Final Fantasy VII Remake, and Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. His music is very interesting. He has this certain sound that distincts him from other composers. A lot of his songs contain lots of piano and heavy violin sounds, and it's only been improved on his other works. The original version of Besaid and the arranged version of Besaid sound so different, but yet similar. Challenge by Hamauzu has this heavy guitar drum sound that sounds so fucking epic. Only Hamauzu can create this ethereal mystic sound which in my opinion bathes these locations so much more in life. For example, Macalania Woods. Nakano's scores in Final Fantasy X are as good as Hamauzu's. By far my favorite song by him is Run. Whenever Run plays, a sense of urgency courses through my veins and I'm immediately locked in. Enemy Attack is a song you hear and you immediately get pulled in right to battle. And of course, Nobou Uematsu is just a musical genius, and his scores for this game are god tier. Zanarkand has this melancholy feel. It also has this feeling of longing and yearning every time I hear it. Hot take, but I much prefer the arranged version of Tidus' theme. I even used the score for the opening of the game. Music is integral in video games, and Final Fantasy X has some of the best songs ever made in gaming, and because of that, It gives Spira a breath of fresh air, allowing us to dive into the 6th generation of gaming. Water plays a big theme in this game, but what does it exactly mean? Well, take a good look around Spira. The entirety of Spira is revolved around water when it comes to their day-to-day lives, and the sports, more importantly, Blitzball, which is held in a giant sphere dome. Water represents life and death, and the cycle of death being a central theme in this game, but we mostly see it through sin. Sin is the manifestation of death and represents the spiral of death, and the manifestation of all the bad we humans do. Sin is also the physical form of natural disasters, as we see sin destroy places like Kilika Port. For centuries, summoners and guardians go on pilgrimages to stop sin, and even if they do defeat sin, it's only a matter of time until it comes back. Auron has a really good piece of dialogue that I found when I was looking through my footage. Here's the clip.
Why is it everything in Spira seems to revolve around people dying?
The spiral of death.
Huh?
Summoners challenge the bringer of death, sin, and die doing so. Guardians give their lives to protect their summoner. The Faith are the souls of the dead. Even the maesters of Yevon are unsent. Spira is full of death. Only sin is reborn, and then only to bring more death. It is a cycle of death, spiraling endlessly.
It's a constant spiral of death that Spira is in, and that's where religion takes place. I like how this game displays religion. As someone who's grown up in a Christian household, my family does believe in that faith, so a lot of what Final Fantasy X has to say, I get it. One thing that it tackles, which is something I don't see games nowadays talk about, is religious corruption. The Church of Yevon is corrupted, keeping the death of Lord Jiskel Guado a secret and knowing who killed him. The church manipulates the people and feeds them lies, giving them false hope about the future. Faith is what keeps people going, and when the people of Spira start learning about the church and how Yevon is corrupted, people go crazy, especially characters like Wakka. I wanted to save this part for the character section, but I think Wakka as a character embodies this topic really well. Wakka is a devoted Yevon follower, a very religious guy, and racist? I don't know, but Wakka hates the Al-Bhed. The Al-Bhed defied the teachings of Yevon and used Machina, and for those reasons were the driving forces as to why Wakka hates the Al-Bhed, and also because they kidnapped Luna. After Wakka learns the truth about the church and realizes that the Al-Bhed aren't bad, he changes his perspective on things, and this scene really displays the sudden change of heart Wakka has.
I guess I didn't know anything about the Al-Bhed. Didn't know anything. Didn't want to listen to anything. I was a big jerk. So, I'm sorry, huh? Please forgive me.
This shows the reality of people's feelings, people constantly changing perspective on things, and Wakka embodies that really well. Things like this do happen. For example, in my religion class, we were talking about bad things religious people have done. A preacher bought a very lavish and expensive private jet, his excuse being, Jesus wouldn't be riding a donkey, even though he definitely would, you fucking idiot. So, stuff like this doesn't happen in the game, but the topics of religious corruption can be reflected onto the world we live in now and society as a whole. The combat system in Final Fantasy X is chef's kiss. Final Fantasy X's combat system is truly the gold standard of turn-based. Past FF games are turn-based, but more ATB turn-based, which isn't bad, but it felt as if it was my turn. I had to rush for the commands when I wanted to use something, and if I took too long, the enemies would attack if I was too slow. But thankfully, Final Fantasy X is fully turn-based. If I want to see what I want to cast, I have the time, I don't need to rush. The game gives me all the time in the world. You have the options to attack, cast black magic, white magic, use items, skills, and overdrives, which fuels up over time when taking damage, or your party member takes damage. There are various modes that allow you to change how the overdrive gauge feels up, but I like mine stoic. One great thing about Final Fantasy X is being able to switch characters mid-battle. You have 7 people in your party, so if you need healing, you can swap a character to heal. One thing that I learned about this game is that certain things you do determines the amount of turns you have. If I were to use an item, I'd have 1 more turn. If I summon an Aeon and use its overdrive, then all my turns are gone. If I cast Hastaga on my character, everybody gains more turns. It's a really good feature that this game added. It gives more player thinking because what you do in this game is really important. Leveling up in this game is quite unique actually. The sphere grid is essentially a skill tree, but spherified. When you're done with battle, you gain sphere points, which allows you to use those points to level up on the sphere grid. The sphere grid is where you can lock abilities, increase stats, learn skills, and etc. Literally everything to buff up your character, you can do in the sphere grid. The combat system in Final Fantasy X is so good. It's actually one of my favorite turn-based combat systems in any game. And in my opinion, I think the Final Fantasy games that came out after 10 should have used 10's combat system. Now listen, I really do like Final Fantasy 13's combat, especially 13-2's combat, but it is a little bit overwhelming sometimes, and as someone who can only articulate thoughts by writing them down, having the game actually wait for my turn is great, and overall, the combat in this game is just 10 out of 10. Maybe I'm just bad at this game, but these boss fights really were rough for me. I struggled so much with the major story bosses. Everett kicked my ass so much. I think at one point I wanted to quit the game, but thankfully I didn't give up and I eventually beat him. But I actually like how I struggled a lot with these bosses. Yes, maybe it's a skill issue, but it made me think a lot of what I should do. Should I use certain items? Should I heal now? Will I use a turn? Did I grind enough? Through the struggle came critical thinking, and that's what I love about Final Fantasy X. My personal favorite bosses are the Jecht boss fight and the Seymour Flux fight. These bosses made me super angry, but I loved these bosses. I just love how the combat in this game makes me think of what I should do. I also really enjoyed the Aeon fights at the end of the game. At first, I didn't feel like I accomplished anything, nor did I have much fun fighting them until it hit me a day after. Those Aeons were with me for the entire journey. All their overdrives helped me get through bosses, made fights easier, and knowing I won't hear their hymns anymore made me a little sad, to be honest. The way I feel about the boss fights are the way I feel about this game, so overall, Square, you did a really good job on these boss fights. Alright, I'm going to talk about the trials, and gosh, do I hate the trials. Where do I even begin for the trials? I hate them so much. Every time you beat a major story boss, Seymour for example, you're dragged into solving these weird ass puzzles, and honestly, it makes the game's pacing a little bad. And by the way, Final Fantasy X's pacing is really good. It's not even that bad, but like, I just hate it. The trials make the pacing so bad, and it's not like 16's pacing, but it's something that a lot of people hate. To me, it's useless story padding, if that makes sense. It's useless, and whoever decided this, whoever thought this was good, like, I hope you're fired. No, I'm joking. Maybe. But yeah, I didn't even write a lot for this part. I'm kind of just going on a tangent, but dude, I hate the trials so much, especially the one at Bevelle. Holy shit, that one pisses me off. Remember how I said in the beginning of the video that I didn't really like Final Fantasy X? One of the reasons why I didn't really like this game was because I didn't like Tidus at all. Now, I don't hate him with a passion, I just found him really boring. He's annoying at times and acts like a brat, especially in the first few hours of the game, and overall, he was a very unlikable character for me personally. But after I watched a video with James Arnold Taylor, the voice actor of Tidus, he explained how he prepared for the role and what he thought of Tidus, and hearing James talk about Tidus opened my eyes to a whole new perspective on him. James describes Tidus as an aggressive, excited young man ready to be the hero, and how the stuff that Tidus does, James would also do if he was in that situation. But let's also take in that Tidus is in a world where his home doesn't exist. Zanarkand is just a myth. His whole world is gone, and he's kind of forced to live like his story is fake. And whenever he brings up his past, people will never believe him. So his excuse to brush it off is saying he was close to Sin's toxin. The stubbornness of Tidus that I don't like comes from a place of uncertainty, worry, anger, frustration, and grief. His anger grows more when he finds out that his father, Jecht, is Sin, and it's made very clear that Tidus hates his dad. And that anger and frustration he feels all goes towards his dad. Tidus grew up with a detest for his dad, and because of it, he was kind of ignored by his mother. So, growing up, he was kind of alone for the most part, always living in the shadow of his father, the great Blitzball star. But in the end, they kind of resolved their issues by putting their differences away, which is nice because at the end of the day, that's your dad. Really looking at how Tidus reacts, I actually find myself relating to him a lot more. Tidus is 17 and I'm 18, so his youthfulness that he displays in the game, I totally get now. He is a very chalant character, which is a perfect way to describe how he is. His inner dialogue is also great. It's one of my favorite parts of the game personally. It shows what Tidus is really thinking, and you get that split of him saying and doing what others want him to do and think, and you get that side of Tidus that is constantly questioning things, and it gives us the serious side of Tidus that we don't see until the final few hours of the game. Overall, I think Tidus as a character is someone that I can really relate to now. I just think, you know, in the first few hours of the game, he was really annoying and unbearable. I really didn't like him. But obviously, once you play more of the game and you learn more of the story and Tidus, and when you really listen to his inner dialogue, it is really great. I mean, it's that side of Tidus that we see that really makes him more complex as a character, because if he didn't have that inner dialogue, I would just think that Tidus is a brat. And let's be honest, he kind of is. No, not kind of. He is. But because of his inner dialogue and his maturity grows more when you play more of the game, I think it makes him more likable and more relatable, which is now a reason why I think I like Final Fantasy X even more, is because I now understand Tidus. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Please let me know what you guys think. Wow, this video has taken me a long time to make, simply just because, you know, life got in the way. I got, during my summer I got sick, I got back into training, you know, I went out, I've been doing a lot of stuff, and I just haven't had the time to really edit, and honestly, I might not have time to even play games in the next couple of months. So I really want to play as much as games as I can, maybe pump some videos out, and my main motivation for this video was because of the Final Fantasy 25th anniversary for Final Fantasy X. So I'm like, you know what? Might as well finish the video. Let's get it out. I'm happy with what I got right now. And this is like a really long video. My videos have been very long. I need to change that. I hope with my next like 3 videos that I want to work on, I hope I can just condense it down to maybe 10, 15, max 20 minutes. I really don't want like a 26 minute. This is the longest one I've made so far, including with this outro. But yeah, and if you guys have any like questions, like if you're wondering like, oh, but what did you think of this and that, I guess I should just give some of my other thoughts now. I really did like the cast. Auron, Waka, and Yuna are actually some of my favorite characters. I like that side of Auron where you can see where he's actually, as a kid, he was very skeptical and scared. He didn't want Braska to sacrifice his life. And then I like Yuna as a character. She's actually one of my favorite female leads in any Final Fantasy, I would say. She's probably like second favorite to Terra, in my opinion. But I mean, I loved the cast, and the characters were really good. I also really liked the big twist. I really wanted to talk about that, but I didn't really want to write a lot for that part, to be honest. I got kind of lazy. But regarding the big twist, spoilers, the big twist that we find out that actually Tidus is kind of a ghost. He's part of the dream, the Faith's dream. I really like that aspect. Like a lot of the ending portion of this game I really enjoyed. And regarding what I said in the beginning of the video, how I didn't really like this game, you know, after really looking at Tidus and just seeing how he acts, and, you know, looking at like really studying the themes of this game, makes me appreciate it even more. And I'm proud to say that Final Fantasy X is like an 8 out of 10 for me. I really liked it. And who knows, maybe on the next playthrough, I'll love it even more. I'm sure I will. But yeah, that's pretty much the outro. Stuff that I want to make. I recently finished Persona 4 and Catherine. And I gotta say, I'm sorry Final Fantasy VII, but Persona 4 is my favorite JRPG of all time. It's number one. I am sorry, but that's just how it is. And I'll definitely be making a video on Persona 4 and Catherine. I do have another video that I want to work on. It's more of a personal kind of thing. Sorry, I feel like I'm gonna burp. But expect at least one more video out. I hope I can pump 3 if I'm locked in enough on the editing. But yeah, that's it. Thank you guys so much for watching. I really do appreciate it. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. Let me know what you guys thought, and I will see you guys next time. Stay tuned, Kupo.